All right, next up, we're going to have the status of railroad agreements and the construction requirements for the railroad work.
I'm Travis Haberman. I work in the Railroad Liaison Office, Local Assistance Division, along with Todd Palmer. Is our engineer doing plan review and those sorts of things. I get involved in the agreement side of the house toward the end when we're getting ready to advertise and let and those kind of things. So been at it about a year, so good to see you folks. May have worked with or known Bev Vonashek or Avon Shazi. They've moved along, and so I'm the replacement. So I'm here to talk to you about railroad impacts for this project. Two railroads involved are BNSF and OPPD. And so BNSF, there's a new viaduct toward the west end of the project. And on the OPPD side, they have a rail spur on the eastern edge of the project. And there's a few at-grade crossings that are impacted, whether they be open, a new one, or closing an existing one. And in the case of 98th Street, there's a realignment. So this entails 6 agreements, 1 for BNSF and 5 for OPPD that we're doing with these folks. First to the BNSF new viaduct. You can kind of see the location there. The work being done by the railroad is flagging and inspection services only for that. And then the contractor would be required to coordinate the viaduct work you do, obviously, with the BNSF in that regard. So OPPD is doing a new viaduct as well. It's kind of on the eastern end of the project, again, south of Rokeby Road, in between 98th and 120th. Flagging services will be done by the railroad in the case of OPPD. Nothing about inspection that I saw. Contractor, again, required to coordinate your work with the OPPD points of contact that are in the special provisions and in the agreement that you'll find. Here's the at-grade crossing implications to the project, if I can say that word right. 98th Street, they are realigning, and so that's going to require closure of one DOT crossing, and then where the realignment is occurring, there'll be a brand new one with a new DOT number. So that's 2 agreements for that particular location due to that realignment. Rokeby Road is closing altogether. 120th Street, there'll be a new crossing and lights and gates installed at that location. And of course, the contractor would be removing the road in those circumstances or building the new road. And then the railroads will be installing the concrete panels for the crossing and then the lights and the gates. This gives you a better idea. I'm sure you've looked at the plans a little bit, just highlighted the areas where the at-grade crossings are impacted, the realignment in the upper left-hand corner of 98th Street, and then the other 2 impacts that we have. Unique aspects to this project really is pretty routine, I would say, for the most part. Talked to Todd Palmer, our engineer, about that. The only thing that you may not be aware of is BNSF's kind of policy that they went to a couple years ago on boom utilization and equipment removal around the project on their site, near their property, that type of thing. It could be a little bit rigorous, so I would suggest that maybe reach out to BNSF and or the next time that we have a pre-bid meeting, we'll have a little bit more information. I did call BNSF today, a couple different numbers, to try and find out if this particular submittal has changed any over the last couple of years. We haven't done that many projects in this regard, so if I get that information, I'll pass that along. Also then on the OPPD side, we just don't do that many projects with them as a short line. And so suggestion would just be enhanced communication with them and follow up. The agreements themselves, we're pretty close with the BNSF viaduct. The construction and maintenance agreement's already signed. And I've been working with JLL a little bit on an ETA for the easement agreement signature. They hope it's signed by the end of this month, so we'll wrap that one up soon. On the OPPD side, those 5 agreements, already been given the okay by their engineer, their public project manager, and the real estate folks at OPPD are reviewing those, and hope to have those signed real soon. Of course, here's the individuals that are the public project managers to these two particular railroads that you may be working with. Two Jeremys, Jeremy Wagner at BNSF, and then Jeremy Bowers at OPPD, and I anticipate them being around for the project as well through construction.